I'm Dr. Charli, the book mama.
And I am Stephanie Palmer, the grammar queen.
We're glad to be with you today for a little writer's therapy.
Yes, back again.
We're going to probably seem nitpicky today.
Just a tad bit.
A tad. We're going to talk to you about punctuation today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you call this? The power of punctuation?
No, perplexed over punctuation.
Perplexed. That's right. Perplexed over punctuation. Do you remember when you started learning punctuation?
I do remember. Yeah.
What do you remember about it?
I remember even I guess as far back as I can go, and I will date myself on this, but I remember like the Shirley method. Do you know the Shirley method? No?
Like surely it will be correct?
No, Shirley, like Shirley, like the name Shirley method.
No, I never learned that method.
I did. I was in like 5th grade. But hey, before we go into it, guys, we want y'all to like, share, and tag anyone that you know that may need some help with punctuation.
Yeah.
I was a little perplexed whenever we came up with this topic, but I said, let's do it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. So I have a reason for wanting to talk about punctuation today.
Okay.
Because it's abused.
It is. Yes,
it is
absolutely.
Abused and misused.
Yeah.
It should have a poster at the post office.
Yes.
Like it is really bad.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes it's used and abused by not being utilized at all.
Right.
And sometimes it's overused. Have you ever gotten, so sometimes we get texts or even emails or we get books and they have like 10 punctuation marks, like 10 exclamation points.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you kind of just want to go, no. X.
Delete. Backspace.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what's the purpose of punctuation? Because, okay, let's be honest. Let's have a moment of truth. This is the most boring thing on the planet to talk about.
But we are going to make it fun.
We are so dynamic. Yeah. We can make punctuation good.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we really have a lot of confidence in ourselves. Okay. So what is the purpose of punctuation?
Why would you? I'm telling you, I knew I was going to be, it was like I was going to be in English class all over again. Like seriously. The purpose of punctuation, and I don't know if I'm able to answer this correctly, but just basically to clarify what is being said within the sentence. So, whether to use a comma or, when to use a comma, where to use a comma, how to use a comma.
Right. But that goes back to the purpose of the comma.
So break it down for me.
All right. So words, whether you're speaking English or French or Spanish or Japanese, it really doesn't matter. Words are literally just a system of symbols, right?
Look at you, all that knowledge.
I ain't done yet.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on.
Okay.
So it's just a symbol system. Okay. And we've put all these symbols together to create what we call words and sounds, and it is a form of communication. But within that, we have to make the way we would hold a conversation verbally, we have to make it apparent on paper.
Yes.
And so the purpose of punctuation is to create pause, to create finalization, to create a system of understanding how information is being presented. So it's really about the intonation of the speaking. We can hear voice rise and voice fall. In music, you can hear music rise and music fall. They call it crescendo and decrescendo and things like that. Well, it's a separate system of symbols within language that cause additional communication.
That's good. That's good. You're
Thanks.
So smart.
Yeah, did you know I used to be an English teacher?
Yeah, I knew. That's why I said I was going to feel like I was in class.
I was an English teacher, and when I was in school, I hated grammar. I hated grammar. I hated English. I hated punctuation. I I'm telling you, I wanted to take those sentences that I diagrammed and I wanted to graffiti them on the front of my English teacher's house. That's how much I hated it. And of course, I'm sorry, my nose is itching. Here I am. I'm actually on Facebook Live talking about punctuation. Oh my gosh. Okay, but there's some reasons to talk about it because we need, as writers, we have to be able to really express ourselves. And 20 punctuation marks is not the way to do it.
Please don't.
Okay,
Please don't do it.
so did you know that punctuation actually goes back to like 15th, 16th century?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I knew you would know.
It did. Okay, so there were some basic things like periods, but they weren't always used. Like, back medieval times, their monks are riding in the castles or in the monastery, they didn't use a whole lot of punctuation, but there weren't that many people who were able to read. They were all trained the same. So punctuation came around, actually became very prevalent after the invention of the printing press.
Interesting.
Yeah, after the invention of the printing press. So probably one of the oldest parts of punctuation is actually the exclamation point.
Okay.
Since we've been picking on the exclamation point, but it was not a favorite because it was really hard to print an exclamation point on a printing press.
Wow.
Because it had two separate type pieces.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
So it wasn't a favorite. But that's okay. That's okay. It came around. So I want to talk about the pound sign.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So what else do you call it?
Hashtag.
Okay, yeah. There's the generation difference because I call it a pound sign.
Yeah,
some people call it a number sign. Like if you're number one, you put a number sign in front of the number, right? It was actually created in the 1960s. In the late 1960s by some engineers at a company that was called Bell Labs. It's actually became part of AT&T. And they didn't create it until they needed to put it on a button. And I'm sorry, I can't remember why. They needed to put it on a button for a digital, phone. So, the touch tone phones.
Yeah.
It used to be rotary.
Yes.
Did you ever use a rotary phone?
My grandmother had a notary.
Okay. A notary?
Not a notary. Rotary. Sorry. Wrong letter.
Rotary. Okay. So after rotary phones, when we had rotaries, we really didn't need that number sign. But and it's actually not called they didn't call it a number sign, and they didn't call it a pound sign.
What do they call it?
And they sure didn't call it a hashtag. They called it an octothorpe.
Interesting.
Because it has octo for 8. It had 8 points.
You and all your fun, interesting facts, y'all. This is
okay. All right. So, but it wasn't until 1968. I thought that was actually pretty interesting. And then, so one of the signs that goes back to the 16th century is the at sign. The little A with the little almost complete circle around it, right? Okay, so that's the at sign. But it took forever for the English language to come up with the name for it. It's now called the at mark. Okay, but and I just call it the at sign. I guess
too. I do sign.
But it is technically the at mark. But some people call it a monkey's tail.
And I kind of seen that look, and I looked at your notes, and I was like, it does look like a monkey's tail.
I don't see that, but okay. And then some people call it a strudel.
Okay, I wouldn't have came up with that.
I have no idea. It makes me hungry though. Okay, and then Oh, I forgot to tell you this about the exclamation point. It used to be called a bang.
A bang. Yeah, because you end the sentence with a bang. I like that.
Right. That's when they were teaching typing classes. They actually called it a bang. Okay, here's the really cool part, though.
Okay.
How many times have you ever gotten an email, and I am guilty of this, I'm so guilty of this. I will send exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark. Like I'm trying to... Like, that's a question, and I'm shocked at the same time, right?
Right,
yeah. That was called they used to be combined. So you would have the exclamation point, and then you would backspace, and you would put the question mark on top of it, and it was called an interrobang.
Interesting.
I don't know. I mean, it's like, who knew that there was so much history right behind this stuff?
Wow.
But it was an interrobang. But people hated it because this is when you were typing. You can't do this now. You can't do this with word processing software. But they would go back with a typewriter and they would type one on top of the other. And then there's the ampersand. What's an ampersand?
I want to see your notes.
You know what an ampersand is?
Okay, yeah. The and sign. The and sign.
Yeah, the and sign. Holy moly, is that one ever used? Overused, wrong. Yeah. So how often do you see an ampersand?
I see it all the time.
We call it an and sign.
Yeah, we call it an and sign. I see it all the time. I use it in text and
right. So we use it a lot, and of course we use it as an abbreviation, but it's actually supposed to communicate a greater level of familiarity than the word A and D. And in fact, the Writers Guild in I guess out in Hollywood, LA, I don't know, I'm from Texas. We don't have a lot of Writers Guild going on around here, but the Writers Guild, I didn't know this, but if you look at the end of movies, they actually denote certain relationships with the writers of a script by the and ampersand. I'm not going to call it an and sign. I'm going to try to be correct.
Okay, go ahead.
The ampersand and the word and. So if you have two writers and they're connected with an ampersand, the and sign, that means that they actually work together collaboratively. They were like in the same room. But if you see that separated by the two writers separated by the word and, A and D, it means that they worked separately on the project at different times.
Interesting. So while we are right there, should we encourage our authors to use that sign or discourage
Heck to the no.
Discourage them. Do not use it.
No.
Kim says, hey, Kim.
Hey.
Yeah, do not use the what is it called? The
ampersand.
Ampersand.
The and sign.
Yeah.
Don't use that in your writing.
No, spell it out. Let us know.
Because all that does is encourage us just, to mark it out.
Yeah. You don't want ready.
All those frustrations we brought from the house this morning, we're gonna take it out on your book.
So we're removing all of those.
Right. Okay, so let's get to the one that I know you really love.
I really love the comma. But you know what? I am all about commas, but let me tell you, and I have noticed and realized that, I don't have it all figured out yet when it comes to punctuation. So, we had to research this, but even then, as I have things edited, and I know that one of our editors in here, and I'm not going to call him by name, but he knows who he is. He will delete and move my commas all the time. I get comma happy. And I think a lot of our authors do too. So
it's like she thinks it's a partial smile.
Like
she's just gonna smile all over that sentence.
Yeah. And so but commas are very, very important. But I will be the first to admit that I get very comma happy. So just even an example of a comma being used or not being used is there was a meme going around where it says, let's eat grandma. No comma. We don't want to eat grandma. Commas save lives, because the next one said, let's eat, grandma, inviting grandma to dinner.
To go eat with you.
So commas save lives.
So
they're very
in one
important.
instance, grandma is the entree. And in another sentence, grandma gets an entree.
Yeah. There's a huge difference. So
it seems like about a month ago we were eating preachers.
Right.
So,
I remember the signs.
The signs. So we were doing something with preachers. So, we really don't have it out for anybody. It just sounds like that because of punctuation issues.
Yeah.
Right. And so commas are such a big deal. Did you know that several years ago that Lockheed Martin, the corporation, they got in a big lawsuit because of a comma?
Okay.
And they had to ante up $70 million.
Wow.
That's a very expensive comma mistake.
Yeah.
$70 million.
Wow.
Can Can you imagine the CEO's conversation at dinner that night over the dinner table? Lost my lawsuit today because of that dang comma.
I wonder if the person who did it is still working.
I don't know. But it happened again in Portland, Maine. There was an issue. There was a lawsuit about overtime hours, and there was a comma mistake, and they lost, and they had to pay $10 million.
Wow. Over a comma.
Over a comma, y'all. A comma. So we've gone from the Middle Ages, where they didn't really want to use punctuation because it was an extra typeset, okay, or $10 million later, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's always mistaken with a comma is a semicolon. That's the dot with a little comma underneath it.
Yeah.
So do you like to use semicolons?
I do, but that same editor that we're not going to name removes my semicolons. I really believe that they could go there, but he says otherwise, so I definitely take his word for it. However,
he's a pretty smart guy.
He is. And I really I think semicolons look like, I don't know, they just look good. But that doesn't mean they fit.
No.
Where they go. Yeah.
Do you know how to make sure a comma fits?
Tell me.
Okay. I mean, not a comma, a semicolon.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, a semicolon. Here it is, y'all, because I hated grammar and I hated punctuation. So for me, we got to live by the KISS method, which is keep it simple, stupid. Okay? That's how I remember things. Ready? If both sides of the semicolon can make a sentence by themselves, then the semicolon is acceptable. For example, Stephanie went off-site for lunch, semicolon. The staff remained in the office. All right, those can be two separate sentences. But the staff remained in the office is related to, it's sharing additional information about the fact that Stephanie went off-site for lunch. So you can separate it by a semicolon, and the reader knows that it's two separate thoughts, but they're related.
Yes.
That is the beauty of a semicolon.
Yes.
So, I preach sometimes, right? Like I go places and I preach.
You do. I think you do it here too sometimes.
I do.
We're not gonna bring that up different live.
Let me tell you what was in Leviticus this morning. No, I actually preached an entire sermon on a semicolon.
I think I know where you possibly could be going with this. Go ahead.
Well, but it was valuable. It was Mark 12:14.
Okay.
Yeah, Mark 12:14. Bless those who persecute you, comma, bless and do not curse. Again, both of those can be separate sentences, but in the good old King James, there is a semicolon. And there is a semicolon because both parts of the sentence are valuable. They hold equal weight, but they're related. So I won't preach the whole sermon.
Okay.
That's just a teaser.
Save that for another
That's
live.
a teaser. So somebody say amen. Somebody say amen. Okay. So what kind of punctuation overuse do you see that comes through us, like as editors?
Okay. Punctuation.
In
talking.
books.
Okay.
In books.
Ellipses. Please. Don't go there,
okay. What's an ellipses?
It's the three
dot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a name, y'all.
Yeah.
It's not just periods.
Yeah.
It's called an ellipsis.
Like you're buffering and still thinking.
Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Kim says amen. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Okay. And ellipses. How are they overused?
They use them where it should be. I mean, it's just, I think it really correlates. I don't even know if they know what they're using, but it's the same way with like the exclamation points. It's multiple ones, I guess, to show emphasis, not for the actual purpose of what an ellipsis is. but yeah, they just keep going. It's like, yeah, it's like their
And
finger got stuck on.
an ellipses is basically used for two things. Remember, that's the ... Okay.
Yes. Take my notes.
And it's really supposed to be used to show, like in a quote, you will open quotation marks, you'll give a quote, and then you'll put ... at the end and close quotation marks, which means there's more to that quote, but you've only put a part of the quote that was necessary for what you were writing.
Yes.
So you may have a whole, like a long sentence, and it's not necessary to repeat the entire sentence that someone said. You only need the first half of the sentence. So you can use that ... and save space. And it's perfectly acceptable. It just means there's more to the sentence, but this is who said it. I've said all that needs to be said. That's legit.
Yeah. And that is not how it is used.
No, so many times people use it because I love this. I truly do. They want us to read their minds. Writers, you want us to read your minds. You put an ellipses because you think that we can read your mind. I'm so impressed. I'm so honored that people think that I can read their minds. That was my son calling. Okay, I'll have to get back with him later. But legitimately, we can't read minds.
No.
So you actually have to finish the sentence. You can't put an ellipses.
They use it to decorate their, really, it's just like for decoration. Like, seriously, I'm serious. and I've seen it multiple times, and it's like, why are you using these? Like you don't use them.
Right.
Oh, never mind. I'm jumping ahead, but I want to even the overuse of quotation marks drives me up the wall. Like,
yes.
Yeah. Like,
okay, so talk about that.
When you are the writer and you are putting your information, your own quote in quotation marks, or you want to quote something that you believe is valid, so you want to put quotation marks around it to make more of an emphasis, it doesn't do that. That's not the purpose of quotation marks. And I definitely discourage it for anyone that is wanting to do that. So I have now even just went in, and I don't even make a note of it. I just go and delete it. Probably like our other editor in the room that we're not gonna name them though, but they do that too. They just delete the quotation marks. So I've taken note from them, and I just delete them because it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Sometimes quotation marks are really,
yes, they are.
They're necessary. They're valid.
Absolutely.
They're important. They have a role to play. They are a symbol that has a meaning in the writing process, and it's important to know what that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, people get really, really happy with those.
Like
and so I want to give writers credit. They're trying to use punctuation.
They are.
Yes, so
the effort is there.
Kudos to you.
Yes.
Writers use punctuation to express themselves. However, just know that you can also eat too many tacos.
Yeah.
Tacos are good.
They are.
12 tacos is too many.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what other forms of punctuation can you think about that might be overused? Oh, by the way, you can't put a question mark and an exclamation point together. You can't. You don't get to do that. Not in a book.
No.
I don't care if it did have a name. I don't care if it was an interrobang. You don't get to do that. Yeah.
I want to say another one is parentheses, and I don't think it's misused as much, but people do. They do kind of tend to go a little parentheses happy every once in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So pop quiz.
Oh no, here we go. English teacher coming out, y'all.
Okay. What is the difference between parentheses and brackets?
You know what? And I just learned this as I was doing that. So, look, like the brackets, and I really did. I thought that the brackets were like a fancy parenthesis sign. So
that's okay.
But it's not what it is.
We're always learning too.
Yes. So brackets, look, and I even had that.
She did. She has notes.
Yes. So they're for technical explanation instead of, and look, and I even put, you do not see a lot of brackets being used. but it's more for like technical.
It's like
stuff.
editor's comments.
Yes,
Yeah.
all of that, as opposed to when you need to be using parentheses. But even then, the braces also were one that I thought was like a fancy. That's the one I really thought was like a fancy parenthesis sign, and that's not what it is.
Well, it kind of is fancy.
I think it's fancier
Yeah.
than just the curved line. It
Yeah,
has the-
but you can't.
Yeah, I can't.
That's not used in
So-
writing. I know. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I mean, we could go all day with this.
So-
seriously.
I think we talked. So periods are pretty much periods.
Yes.
We've talked about question
Just use
marks.
one, not
Yeah,
don't
one
turn it into an
period.
ellipses, please
One
don't.
period. Oh, you know what is commonly done after a period?
What?
Two spaces. Okay, so here we go. We're going to date people. I'm one of those special people.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have a wisecrack about that? Okay, I'm one of those special people. I actually took typing and keyboarding.
No, I did too. We said that right before.
Okay,
I did
yeah.
too. We're both special. You're not more special than me. I'm sorry.
I am. You just haven't figured it out yet. I'm special, all right. Okay, so, but in typing, like with an actual typewriter, for those babies that are watching, we actually used to use those.
I did too.
Yeah. And so you were told to always put two spaces after a sentence. And so now you have lots of people who have transferred from learning typewriting in junior high and high school. Usually it was a class, now you can take keyboarding. And I'm not even sure they even teach keyboarding a whole lot anymore, because it's just assumed that people know how to do it, which is bad because I don't,
Right.
but I won't go there.
Right.
And so anyway, you learn how to put two spaces. So now that people have started keyboarding, they still do two spaces after a sentence, and you're not supposed to. Literally, one of the very first things we do with a book when we open it for the first time in the computer is we go through and we take out, we know how to shortcut it, and we take out double spaces in the entire book.
Yes,
We don't even tell the author we've done it.
Nope.
We just do it, and it's done. And I mean,
Yeah.
because it's not that hard. It's not that big of a deal, but that's just one of those period spacing issues
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like that.
So one of the other, so it's not really punctuation, but it comes to mind when we're talking about punctuation.
Yes.
All caps.
Oh my gosh, y'all, don't do it. Don't
Did
do
y'all
it.
know that all caps means you're screaming? Like a screaming meanie?
And
Have
then,
you ever heard one of those things?
Who?
It's a screaming meanie. It's
No.
it's an alarm clock.
I have not heard it.
Yeah, if you ever have a teenager that won't get up, get them a screaming meanie.
Send me a text. Remind me of that.
Okay. Yeah, screaming meanies. They're really, really obnoxiously loud, but that's kind of what all caps are. You really shouldn't. Every once in a while, it might be acceptable to use
Yes.
all caps for something.
Yeah, like
I mean,
don't
like a
say
whole word.
saying the word don't or not. Like maybe, but that doesn't mean always. So yeah,
Right.
Don't do all caps.
One of the beautiful parts of language and in writing is that the reader gets to add interpretation.
That's good. Say that again.
One of the beautiful, I don't know if I can say it verbatim,
You
but one
can.
of the great parts, the beautiful parts about reading is that the reader gets to put in their own interpretation. That's one of the things that movies and videos and things like that have taken away from us as a society. And so when you're reading, you actually get the privilege of putting some of your own meaning and your own emphasis into the text. You did not see Mark Twain using all caps.
Yeah.
It would never have happened. Okay, so it's the same concept.
Right.
That you let the reader have some of their own interpretation. When you are overutilizing punctuation, when you're using all caps, when you're overemphasizing things, you're taking that privilege away from the reader.
That's
It's
good.
like you're trying to tell them what to think or
Yeah.
how to think. And although you may be trying to be very persuasive, do it with your language, not with your punctuation.
Oh, that's good. I'll write that down. A minute. Yeah.
That'll
Wow.
preach. That'll
Yes,
preach. Right
that'll
there, I'm just
preach.
saying.
Yes. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So capitalizing random words.
Oh my gosh.
Random
Yeah.
words. Yeah, that happens.
Mm-mm.
And then acronyms.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's an acronym?
Are you talking about texting acronyms, or are you just talking about?
I'm just well, okay. So here's the problem. Too many people are texting. I am one of them. Y'all, I will be the first to tell you that when I'm texting, unless I feel like it's someone that I need to text complete sentences with punctuation and correct spelling to, which doesn't happen very often because I'm usually texting someone I'm pretty familiar with. I don't type out full words. Y-O-U becomes U. A-R-E becomes R. The letter R. Okay? I don't have to spell thanks as T-H-N-X.
I spell it out. I'm so the opposite.
Freaking overachiever. Oh my God.
I have to spell it out, and I use.
Who are you sucking up to?
I don't know. I guess it's just because it's in my daily.
My kids harass me about that. They're like, "Mom, you're a writer and an editor, and you can't send a correct text." And I'm like, "I don't have to." Texting, texting by nature allows you to do that.
Right.
The medium of communication is permissive to that kind of texting. LOL. THNX, thanks.
Yeah.
You know, LYMTF. No, that's not one of them. That's a personal one. For Sammy and my husband.
Like, what is that?
It means love you more than frogs, but I'll explain it later.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking
off camera.
LMAO,
Okay.
TTYL. Okay, those are all text languages, text acronyms that is like its own language. Remember, language is merely a symbol of systems. A system of symbols, sorry. And that, again, is proof. However, you can't carry that over into writing a book.
No, please don't.
It happens
every
day. Somebody puts LOL. And you know, when I'm writing, I even find myself doing it. I'm like, oh, delete.
Yeah. And that's why I spell it out when I'm texting, so I don't convert that into my writing.
Oh my gosh, y'all, I don't know if I can sit in the same room with Miss Perfect over here. Oh my gosh.
I'm just, yeah.
When y'all send fan mail to self-publish in 30 days to Stephanie Palmer, you can put Stephanie Perfect Palmer, all right?
I'm working toward it. I'm working toward it.
Okay, so the other thing that we actually see in text, in books, in the text in books, is emojis.
Yeah.
Again, a system of symbols that communicate, in this case, an emotion, which is why they're called emojis. But you don't put those in the middle of your book.
No. Yeah. You can leave those out.
Yeah.
Save those for texting.
So it does help the editor know how you're feeling about that.
Right. Yeah.
We know if you like it or not. But at the same time, so I think that it's because authors want to express how they feel.
Right.
Which is really good.
Yes.
Because that helps the editor know how you're trying to express yourself. But at the same time, there are language techniques to do that.
Yes.
And as book authors and book editors, we have to work together to make sure that happens through language, not 21st century symbols.
Right. Yes.
So, who knew that we could talk so much about punctuation?
Like 30 minutes and going. Yeah. Yeah.
I think if my English teachers were not all dead, they would be really proud of me.
What do you say to that? Well, I hope and a lot of my English teachers,
any of them are alive.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mrs. Klein might be alive. I think Mrs. Klein is alive. Thank you, Mrs. Klein.
Yeah. And I have
from
several,
Bridge City Junior High for making me.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
For making me work with those sentences and break them down and tear them apart. And it's just some things you just can't get past, y'all.
Yeah, and I have several of my English teachers that are my friends on Facebook, so they may
really
see this. Yes, and
they're going to be really impressed with you today.
I hope so. Even the reading teacher. I had a reading teacher that was very very impactful in my life to get, kind of give me that push to love reading, which in turn, began the love of writing. So yeah, they're all my friends on Facebook. So yeah, thanks to them, because it's because of them that I love. Yeah.
Thank you for your contribution
all the English teachers
to the
out there.
Writing Society. Because Stephanie Palmer is now an accomplished author and editor, and she does Facebook Lives about punctuation, which I bet you never thought she'd do in 8th grade. So,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you know what? I think I'm tapped out on punctuation knowledge.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, and the last parting piece of advice.
I knew you'd have something, because you always do. Like, it's at the end, like you're like the monkey's tail.
Yeah. Is the consistency. Be consistent. And that's with, if you're gonna choose to do something at the very beginning, just follow throughout your entire manuscript, because we will get halfway through an initial assessment and we will see, well, half of it was done this way and half of it was done that way. So you need to pick one and then fix the other ones the way that they need to go, because
Can I give an example?
Yes.
Okay.
And wait, before you give an example, let's acknowledge Jasmine. Hey, Jasmine. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Okay.
Oh, you look forward to those.
She said we're hilarious together.
It's just because I'm so funny looking. All right. So I wanted to give an example. I see you love LYMTF. Okay, I'll share that in a minute, y'all. Just for humor, I will share LYMTF. All right. So when you're working with commas, a consistency issue, if you have a list. So Stephanie is going to the store for coffee, sugar, and creamer. All right. So Stephanie is going to the store for coffee, comma, sugar, comma, and creamer. Some people like to put the comma before and some people don't. The problem is that you need to be consistent.
Yes.
So either one is correct. Either one is correct. But you need to be consistent through the whole book. So that's an example of being consistent with your punctuation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're big on that.
Okay.
I don't like the comma. I don't like the extra comma.
All right, Jasmine, only because I love you. All right, I'm going to tell you the LYMTF. My husband is a very quiet man, and I'm sure you're all thinking that's probably because I suck all the oxygen out of the room and he can't ever talk. But he's actually just a quiet man by choice. He's like the one-word answer man. All right. And
my husband's not like that, though.
No, your husband is not like that. All right. So my husband is a wonderful man, but he's very quiet, and he is a man of few words. And so if he says, I love you, then it is literally for him a soliloquy of words. And that is all that needs to be said. He doesn't pass those 3 words out lightly. It's said, it's done. He means it. And he's finished. But I'm always pushing him like, I want to know how you feel on anniversary cards, or I want to know how you feel on my birthday.
Charli,
yeah. He's like, well, I love you. That's how I feel. So one year he got me an anniversary card, and it was a nice card. And at the bottom, he put LYM. He put love you more than frogs. I'm sorry, he didn't put the acronym. He put love you more than frogs. And I sat there for 10 minutes trying to figure out, like, why frogs? Frog means fully rely on God. Does he love me more than fully relying on God? I mean, I was psychoanalyzing that anniversary card, y'all. I really was. And he sat there for 10 minutes and just watched me. And after a while, he started laughing. And he said, you're trying to figure it out. And I said, yes. What does it mean? And he said, nothing. It just means I love you more than frogs. I picked an animal. The frog was it. There you go. Happy anniversary.
Of all animals. That's funny.
I'm serious. I have no idea why he picked a frog out, but ever since then, every card he signs LYMTF.
That is so
and
funny. Sometimes
he sends me text messages LYMTF, and it's just a joke that he loves me more than frogs. So in the higher order of life, or like the food chain, I know in his world I'm higher than frogs.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so there's my
that.
goofy story
Like,
for the
y'all,
day.
Yeah, like what can follow that? So yeah.
Okay. Well, we're writers therapists.
Yes.
I'm Dr. Charli, the book mama.
I'm Stephanie Palmer, the grammar queen.
It was great to have y'all today.
Bye.